What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It's the Week 12 Best Bets show. It's a weird week. It's Thanksgiving week. Everyone's like, oh, I mean, look, everyone loves Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's a lot less fun when you, one, have to drive around multiple states or multiple cities in one state, or if you have to record NFL content because, of how the schedule works. Joining me to break it down, Pete Prisco and RJ White. What's up, boys?
By the way, when I used to travel for Thanksgiving, I always used to see the whole family with 18 kids or whatever piling onto the plane. I'd say, isn't it a lot easier to fly granny to the family than the family to granny? I mean, really, when you think about it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, Thanksgiving was the only holiday. That was when we would drive all the way down to Jacksonville, Florida. You where you used to live, your old stomping grounds. We used to drive down to Jacksonville every year with my whole family. And Bob Brinson, buddy, you better. We're out the door at 5:30 a.m. And if you're not ready, you're riding in your PJs, pal.
I almost would have wished when you came to Jacksonville, I would have been invited to a Brinson family Thanksgiving.
There's actually lots of golf involved.
Oysters early in the day.
1 year, Brinson doesn't wake up at 5:30 and gets forgotten, and then it's Home Alone 4 at the Brinson estate with all the.
Oh man, I know. I would like beg for Home Alone situations, and they just nah. You're coming with. Pick his little tail up and throw him in the car. He's coming to Jacksonville with us. I love going to Jacksonville. Anywho, let's dive into these best bets. Actually, we'll recap Week 11 real quick. RJ. 3-2-1. I went 2-4. Boo. Pete 4-2-1. You guys are both hot of the year. I'm bad on the year.
I don't think I had a tie, did I? Did I put an extra game in? I thought I was 4-2. I'll take a tie.
Okay.
I'll take a tie. I thought I only had 6 games, but maybe I had a tie.
Speaking of people who are going to Jacksonville for Thanksgiving weekend, the Ravens are going to Jacksonville for Thanksgiving weekend. Actually, fun fact, the first NFL game I ever went to was my grandfather, R.I.P. Daddy Pat, took me to a Jacksonville Jaguars game over, I think it was Thanksgiving weekend, or maybe it was later in the year. But regardless, he was an OG original Jacksonville Jaguars season ticket holder. Most of my family thinks Pete Prisco is a despicable human being because they all grew up in Jacksonville reading your columns about the Jaguars. I'm just kidding. They think you're great, Pete. Ravens are -4 on the road in Jacksonville. Pete, your thoughts here?
Look, Jacksonville's coming off a bye. The Ravens did nothing on offense last week. I don't think they're going to go up and down the field in this one. I think Jacksonville's going to hang around. Trevor Lawrence played well the last 2 weeks. I think he's figured out some things. They don't rush the passer that well, but you don't really have to do that against the Ravens. I think you got to be stout against the run. So I'm going to take Jacksonville plus the points as one of my best bets. I think they hang around in the game. They don't win it, but they'll be right there.
The Ravens defense continuing to rise toward elite status. I'm not worried about their offensive dud last week. Jacksonville, 2 weeks to prepare worries me, but I don't think the offense has success in this matchup against what's becoming a very good Ravens defense. Jacksonville has allowed 20-plus points in 5 straight, despite facing Indy, the Giants, the Broncos, the Raiders during that stretch. I lean on Baltimore at this number, but I think their defense keeps this one under, so I'm more apt to play the under. It was 45.5 early in the week. Really liked it there. Now it's been going down, so it's 43.5 as we're looking at it right now. It's just a lean there.
Yeah, I think the under is a pretty good look. I'm gonna have the Ravens is the best bet. I'm probably a sucker for this because it's laying 4 on the road on a holiday weekend. Again, like I've been the lazy person down in Jacksonville on Thanksgiving weekend. It might be tough to get up in that spot. Jaguars are off a bye. You have Doug Peterson, who's an Andy Reid disciple, off the bye. I don't know how much weight we actually put into that, but I think, man, you start to see sort of like the Ravens kind of sleepwalk through that Panthers game, and there's a little bit maybe of a wake up call, a realization that hey, the Bengals are creeping. You can win. This division is yours for the taking if you want to go get it. I think they come out kind of hot against Jacksonville. And to RJ's point about the defense, the Ravens defense is starting to become a strength of theirs. And it was a major, major weakness the first few weeks of the season. It's a totally different team. If you can find some good numbers on the Ravens to win the Super Bowl, trying to think what they were last. What are they? I was looking at it last night because our 49ers, RJ, now under 7-1 to win the Super Bowl. Baltimore at 13-1 to win the Super Bowl. I don't hate 6-1 to win the conference is a little short. But I'll take the Ravens as a best bet for me. Next up, Saints at the aforementioned our 49ers. Niners coming. Oh, this line's already moved up to 9. We have it. We're taking it 8.5. Full disclosure, we record this show a little bit earlier than normal. Excuse me. It's Thanksgiving week. So be prepared to watch those lines. Niners coming off just an absolutely dominant win, Pete, on Monday Night Football. They flexed on a bad Cardinals team, but if Jimmy Garoppolo is playing the way he's playing the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, man, the Niners look like a really good team. They are like the epitome of the original Batman with Michael Keaton, where he's like, where does he get those wonderful toys? Kyle Shanahan is loaded with weapons. Total here 43. Your thoughts?
I think this number's too bloated for me. I'm going to take the Saints as a best bet. I think their defense will keep them in the game. I know they haven't been great this year, but they've had a lot of guys in and out of that lineup. 49ers, coming off the Monday Nighter, short week. I think this will be one of those games where the 49ers will win the game, by a touchdown, but you're going to give me 9. I'm taking the 9, so I'll take the Saints as a best bet.
I was going to put this in as a teaser at 8.5, but coming out of that game, I knew it was probably going to go up. So there's really no point to telling people to tease it when it's going to be at 9 or better the rest of the week. New Orleans defense decimated by injuries last week. I thought Stafford played well before his injury. Dalton was a difference in that game. Huge bounce back in what supposedly is a tough matchup against the Rams defense, but they haven't looked very good the last few weeks. So maybe it's not. This is a tough matchup. San Francisco can shut down the run and get pressure. Will they score enough to cover is the question. I think playing under the New Orleans team total makes sense. It's likely going to be around 16.5, probably plus odds at that number, but we'll see if it skews throughout the week. But that's probably the way I would lean, is to play the Saints team total under, because I just don't see them scoring against this defense.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. You had a better, or you had the exact argument I was going to give for it. I think the one thing you have to worry about a little bit is the market, not the market correction, but just like, man, the 49ers look great, and of course they can win the Super Bowl. We've seen them go to the Super Bowl. We've seen them have a lead in the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. They were a Jaquiski Tart drop pick away from, making it back to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo last year. But the hype is a little steep coming out of that Monday Night Football game, right, Pete?
I agree. I think they're tough, physical, nasty, got a lot of everything you need. You can rush the passer, you can run the ball, you can throw it, and you got weapons. So I get it. You got a great coach. But I just think this number's a little too high for me. That's why I'm taking the Saints.
Yeah. I'm with RJ. If you can find it at 8.5, tease it down under 3, like that a lot. I think the New Orleans team total is probably a good look as well. I'll tell you who's a sneaky Super Bowl bet. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to win the division, and you get Tom Brady's going to win 3 games. Okay. Bucs -3 at the Browns, the final game before Deshaun Watson returns. This line has actually creeped up to 3.5. Unfortunately, we have it at -3, and I think that we may have a consensus situation going on here. Total 43.5. Pete, your thoughts?
Yeah, the Browns defense is bad. It's really bad. I think Brady coming off the bye, I think he found something the last time out against Seattle. They were much better on offense. I think they're going to be better. And I think defensively, they're going to be good against the run here. Cleveland, that's their whole offense. They run the ball. They have success. You don't have success. And I think this is going to be one of those games where Brady comes off the bye and starts showing people, hey, I'm back, just like you said. So I'm going to take the Bucs minus the points as the best bet.
Healthier than they've been all year, and the running game might start getting going with Rashad White getting more looks. Tampa Bay's defense excellent in 2 games before the bye. Offense was already first in interception rate and sack rate. They're going to get better from here on out. A mediocre Cleveland defense in for another long week. Cleveland's offense 1 game away from getting Deshaun Watson back. How focused are they going to be in this game? I'm not sure. Brissett's coming off a good game, but he couldn't keep up with Buffalo. I think it's the same here because this offense is as good as Buffalo when it's playing at its best. So I have Tampa's -3 as the best bet too.
I got Tampa as -3 as a best bet as well. I think I will probably be betting on the under 2. It's down to 43. It's a really low total. But if you look at, or maybe the move is Cleveland team total under. If you look at the weather here, Sunday in Cleveland, looks like it's going to be 19-mile-an-hour winds, basically the duration of the entire afternoon, 49 degrees high, raining like crazy. This is one of those where we've seen in Cleveland, it literally happens every year in November over a couple of weeks. There's a ton of wind that comes in. And if you look at the Bucs, the last 2 weeks, they've allowed 68 rushing yards to the Rams and 39 rushing yards to the Seahawks. They got even healthier after their bye. Yes, Cleveland can, with Nick Chubb is as good as it gets in terms of running backs in the NFL. But if Tampa Bay loads up to stop the run and they get any kind of a lead here and force Jacoby Brissett to throw in really nasty conditions, this one could get ugly. I like Tampa -3 as a best bet, and I think the unders. I mean, I don't know how low this total can go based on weather. 39. It would have to get really bad, I think, wind-wise for it to come down that far. But man, this has all the makings of a lot of Tampa Bay rushes and Cleveland completely unable to stop them. The Packers at the Eagles. Philly -7, total 46.5. By the way, I should point out, we look at all these low totals. Last week, first week of the year, that overs went above 500 for a full week, 8-6. Favorites covered.
Except the one I had, the Ravens.
Wait, did you have the Ravens over?
Yeah, and I really didn't. I don't know why I put that in. I even said on the podcast I like the under. I leaned to the under. I don't know why I put that in. That was one of those. By
the way, the Ravens played with their food against Carolina. It was weak.
Yeah, bad. I can't quit the Packers. I'm an idiot. I can't quit them, but they stink. I get it. But 7 points, I'll take my shot on the road. I just don't think the Eagles are. The last couple of weeks have been that good. The Colts should have beat them. I mean, they had them. They had not just the late time. They were up what?
Hey. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni bailed out the entirety of the NFL media from having to listen to Jim Irsay talk about the fact that Jeff Saturday's 2-0 after firing Frank Reich.
But he does have them playing better, and look, the Eagles to me, I like the additions of the guys in the run game. I think they're going to help them up front. Those two guys, Sue and Joseph. But I still think 7 points. I'm going to take the touchdown, and the Packers as best bet. I can't quit them.
I can because I'm taking the Eagles as the best bet -7. The Eagles getting beat up for their run defense. They're 3.1 yards per rush against Washington, so it was fine. It was just they had a ton of runs, and that's why the final number looked big. 3.8 against Indy isn't awful. Green Bay's offense couldn't run versus Tennessee. They need to run. Only 4.6 yards per play overall in that game. I think Philly has the edge in the defensive matchup for them versus the offense here. Philly's offense struggled in two tough matchups the last 2 weeks. That Indy defense is really good. Now they're facing a Green Bay defense that just got lit up by Ryan Tannehill in the passing game, a hurt Ryan Tannehill. So power ratings for me has this at Philly +6.5 is the Philly power rating, 6.5 points above average. At home, they should be laying over a touchdown against an average team. And I'm not sure the Packers are an average team. So this line should definitely be higher for me. I have it at 9.5. That's why I have Philly as -7 at best bet.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because it's hard to look at the Green Bay Packers and they have Aaron Rodgers. The last game was their season, right? And now this is actually isn't this a must win for Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, they're done. They're done anyway.
Right.
The wild card is open in the NFC. You think the Giants are going to come back a little bit, and
if they make a run, they got to make a. They got to.
They really should have. They really should have kept it a lot. I know they lost by 10 to Tennessee, so it wasn't close. But Aaron Rodgers missed so many throws in that game, and
he was terrible.
He was terrible, and so I just don't. How is he going to come into Philly and just be better automatically like that? I don't know, man. I don't have a play. I don't have a best bet this game. I would lean towards Philly laying the 7 though, just because I think Green Bay's not very good. Rams at Chiefs. Chiefs -14.5. I don't see Pete the total here 44. I don't see how it's possible for the Rams to even consider playing Matthew Stafford in this game. He left in concussion protocol last week after being in concussion protocol the week before. There are abundant rumors about various arm ailments and general issues he's dealing with. It's over. Okay. This is the worst season ever for a defending Super Bowl champion. Shut everyone down and play for 2023. There's nothing wrong with that. You're giving away a high draft pick, but you were giving it away anyway, and you won a Super Bowl. So if the Saints giving away a high draft pick to Philly, that's a bad look because you didn't need to. The Rams giving away a high draft pick to Detroit, you won a Super Bowl. It's fine. It's whatever. Shut everybody down and just let the Chiefs obliterate you here, right?
Well, I don't think you'll see Cooper Kupp again for sure. And I would shut Stafford down for as long as he's got any symptoms whatsoever. Shut him down. So I don't think he plays this week. And if he doesn't play this week, they're bad offense with most of the time. He played better last week, but they're bad offense with him. Their offensive line, they've had 9 different starting lineups on the offensive line. It's terrible. Any of them are any good. So I think Kansas City, it's amazing this number is this high, but I could see this being 33-10. So I'm going to lay the points at 14.5 as best bet.
I saw reports that McVay, if Stafford couldn't go, was talking to a veteran quarterback. So my question to you, Brinson, is it Phillip Rivers season?
Don't you dare put Phillip Rivers behind this offensive line. My 2 future Hall of Famers concussed. That's a result. My guys concussed.
Well, one anyway.
Oh, Stafford?
No, Rivers.
I mean,
the Rams have no hope offensively if Stafford is hurt. I mean, they have little hope even with him. The Rams defense fell apart versus New Orleans. Couldn't stop Arizona with Colt McCoy. I don't think Kansas City is going to run up the score here. Line's too big to take Kansas City for me, but no interest in backing Rams. I would lean under 44. I just don't see the Rams scoring points at this point.
Yeah, we don't have a team total on the Rams yet. Again, we record this, just Thanksgiving week. That's the schedule. It's how it goes. What would the team total need to be for the Rams for you to take the under, RJ? 1
for me to not take the under.
Not to take the under. Yes, 1.
Let's see. It's the over under right now is 44. So you're splitting them at 22. Take them down to what? 14.5, 15.5.
Split them at 20, right? So it's really it's probably 10.
No, it'll be because the over under is 44. So 22, and then you go 7.25 each way. So you're looking at 14.5, 15, somewhere around there. Right. And I think they hit that under.
Yeah. So if it's in other words, if it's
33, like I said, 33-10, you get the under, you get the cover, you get the under in the game.
So in other words, be looking for a Rams team total that is 13 or lower, or 13 or higher, and take the under. You prefer 14, obviously, because you can dodge 2 touchdowns if John Wolford does some weird stuff. But I mean, they aren't going to be able to move the ball on. And Kansas City is more than capable of just eating up clock. If they're down double digits starting at half, Aaron Donald shouldn't play. Like, pull everybody.
Well, you got to play football. If you're healthy, you go play. Stop it.
I don't know if you do.
Yes, you do.
Monday Night Football. This is Monday night, right? Howard. Yep. Oh, yeah. Sorry. The Sunday Night Football game was that aforementioned Packers-Eagles game. Monday Night Football is the Steelers against Jeff Saturday's Colts. I mean, look, man, he's got him playing well. It helps to have Matt Ryan in there instead of Sam Ehlinger, as Frank Reich would point out. I actually love Nick Sirianni getting up in the face of whoever he got in the face of. Some people were wondering if he was like yelling to Eagles fans or yelling at Colts fans. I think the latter. Colts are -2.5, hosting Kenny Pickett. Total here, 39, Pete, on Monday Night Football. A real scorcher.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Steelers here. I like what I saw from them last week. I like what I saw from Pickett at times. Look, the Colts played better as well on defense, but I think the Steelers with T.J. Watt are much better defense than they've been. I think they'll get after Matt Ryan. So I'm going to take the Steelers as one of my best bets. I don't know if they win the game, but it might be a 2-point game. I think they hang around, and you're going to give me 2.5. I'll take it.
I like your Pittsburgh pick. If we'd have had 3, I'd have put Pittsburgh in +3 as a best bet. Protection issues persist for Indy now. TJ Watt comes to town, like you said. Pittsburgh's defense 5th in rush yards per game. So the game's likely on Matt Ryan's shoulders for however long they remain upright. Tough matchup here for the mediocre Pittsburgh offense, but Pickett looks like he's progressing. I agree with that. I think he's not a finished product, and I liked what I saw from him last week. I like Pittsburgh's chances of winning outright, so definitely play at +3. For me, it's my first half of the teaser. Tease it at +2.5 up to 8.5 in a low-scoring game. So Pittsburgh +8.5 is half of my teaser.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
I do too. That's nice.
Yeah. I kind of want to jump on that teaser, but I don't know about the other part of your teaser, which I can see and which you'll reveal shortly. Man, is this so? I mean, I think like this point, like Jim Irsay is like Jeff Saturday's getting hired full time next year. Like it's over. Like it's decided.
I don't know if that's decided.
I mean, it's up to Irsay, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if that's decided.
Okay, I think Irsay needs, if he wins one more game, I think it's over. It's a done deal. What makes you? What's like the alternative there? Like, what are they going to do if they don't hire Jeff Saturday?
Go hire a coach.
They have a coach.
Guy's been around the league. Look, I don't think it's that crazy that he's coaching.
You know what's pretty crazy? The first coach fired this year, Matt Rule, leaves football and jumps into media with no previous media experience. He was on CBS Sports Network on Monday QB, and he was also on Good Morning Football on Tuesday, and we'll be back on Wednesday. And then the second coach fired was replaced by a guy who left the media and came to coaching with no coaching experience. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, well, you gotta keep your hand in the business somehow. So, I mean, look, I understand it.
I'm just saying, it goes to show you that having experience, totally overrated.
You're probably going to need a new GM to pair with Jeff Saturday in that situation. Or do you think it's going to be Anthony Costanzo or Dwight Freeney, or what are we looking at?
I mean, look, if you're the head coach and you have good coaches, you coach the coaches and you lead the men. It's not that complicated. I don't know why people went so nuts about it. It really isn't. I mean, Brendan Staley was coaching at John Carroll 5 years ago.
Who would be your number one ranked media member to move to the GM slot for the coach for the Colts?
Me.
I was asking RJ. I know who you're going.
I'll say a guy I know who has experience doing. How about Rick Spielman? He's on the show.
Oh, that's actually a good one. Yeah, Pete could be. Pete, would you hire Rick Spielman to be your assistant GM if you were the Colts GM?
Yeah, sure. And by the way, now that I've spent time with Rick Spielman, I learned that it really is just football. I mean, it's not that complicated. I know, right? Yeah. I love Rick Spielman, but it's not that complicated. It's just football.
Yeah, just pick the players, man. Bears at Jets. It's a huge game. Jets minus 4.5. Over under 41.5. It remains to be seen who the quarterbacks will be here. It could be Trevor Siemian versus Joe Flacco. Trevor Siemian versus Mike White. It could be Justin Fields versus Zach Wilson. We don't know, Pete. Total here 40. I'm curious, one, what you think about the game, and then two, what you think about the Zach Wilson situation, because I think it's like the Robert Saleh's opening things up is entirely based on Zach Wilson's just disastrous answer at his press conference on Sunday.
I disagree on the answer. I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is he stunk. I mean, he was terrible.
I mean, that helps too, right?
If he played well, they lost. He threw for 150 yards and they lost, and he said the same thing. He might not bench him, but he was terrible. It was so bad. But, at least, Zach Wilson should say, hey, Robert Saleh, maybe you might want to punt the ball out of bounds at the end of the game, Robert. You want to point fingers at anybody? I mean, that's the reality. It was a terrible decision. And Robert Saleh, by the way, blamed the punter. Ultimately, you're the one responsible. Punt the damn ball out of bounds.
If he punts into somebody, it means so he got coached incorrectly. Basically,
Correct. Punt the ball out of bounds. And I know the special teams coach there. I've known him for a long time. I can't imagine that's what he told him to do. So maybe he did go rogue, but that was a bad decision. Anyway, you shake out. But here's the thing. Whoever starts at quarterback in this game, the better defense and a dominant defense is the Jets. That defense, and I watched them on tape a lot this week, wow. They have the makings of being the 49ers defense of yesteryear. Quinnen Williams playing out of his mind. Yep. The young pass rushers are really, Clemens and Johnson and Huff. They're starting to get after the quarterback. The secondary's good. They're athletic. The linebackers can all run. I love that defense, so I'm going to take the Jets in this spot.
Huge initial line move. It was 3.5, went up to 6. The market thought Fields wouldn't play. He got ruled day to day, and it came back down to 4.5. Money came in on the Bears. If he doesn't play, I think Chicago is even worse than Houston. He's the only thing keeping that offense afloat. The line should be near 10 when you consider how good the Jets defense is, as Pete laid out there. I know the Jets offense is in disarray after that New England dud, but anybody can score on the Chicago defense. I don't care who's at quarterback. Get right spots don't get any better than this against this defense. The last time the Jets faced a defense not in the top 10 of yards per play, they scored 27 against Green Bay. I think there's some potential still in there for this offense, and I know the defense is going to shut down the Bears if Justin Fields doesn't play. I think this line should be 4.5 if he does play. If he doesn't play, like I said, I think it should be 10. So I think you're getting just great value laying it at the 4.5 without knowing what's going to happen, and then hope he doesn't play, and I don't think he does.
Yeah, I've got the Jets as a best bet as well for that exact same reason. I mean, Ryan Wilson made fun of me on the podcast on Sunday. Like, if you're the Bears, you found absolute gold in Justin Fields over the last 3 or 4 weeks with the offense that you started to fashion around him, that Luke Getsy started to build. Justin Fields has looked awesome. He's certainly developed as a passer. Obviously, clearly a fantastic running quarterback. Does he have some way? Like he's not there yet. He's still a young guy who's developing, but he's doing it with a bad offensive line and minimal weapons. Right? Darnell Mooney, basically he's the only guy. Cole Kmet kind of coming on strong too, though. Like there is no reason to play him in this game. Everybody's safe because it's your first year coach, first year GM. It's flashed enough after you traded all these guys midseason. Your defense is terrible. Do not play Justin Fields in this game. And for that reason, I agree. Like if you can get the Jets -4.5 right now, take it, because if Fields doesn't play, as RJ points out, this is a bloodbath with that elite defense.
How did he get hurt last week, by the way?
Actually, is he running? Or is he in the pocket? Right. Well, I mean, you got to avoid contact when you're running. That's for sure.
Right. Eventually, look, it's all wonderful now, and it's great that he can do that and everything. But he is getting better as a passer. But eventually, he's got to stand in there. But he has to run out of necessity now because they're so bad in other spots. So I get it. Yeah. But we got to calm down on the running part of it, because eventually he's going to have to throw from the pocket.
I guess like the hype is more about like them doing the obvious thing and fashioning some plays around his athleticism versus Matt Nagy, who fashioned 0 plays around his athleticism.
Correct.
Eagles didn't throw last year either, and they're throwing now. They got the personnel in, and Jalen Hurts took a step
I'm
forward.
Not saying he can't do. I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm saying he's eventually going to have to throw it more.
For sure. And look, like it's still, the roster's still a long way off. This is a bad football team.
Hey, he was my number 2 quarterback coming out when he came out. And
behind Trey Lance.
No, behind Trevor Lawrence. And he's still behind. In my mind, he's still behind Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, people need to calm down on Trevor Lawrence. He's fine. Broncos, Denver Broncos are favored on the road because they're going to Carolina to play the Panthers. Broncos -2.5. Total here of 36. Look, I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of people in the stands here, so I don't think there's any home field advantage for Carolina. And plus, the Panthers stink. But man, 2.5 on the up. I mean, the Broncos laying points on the road, Pete.
Yeah, I can't. I don't understand this line. I mean, they are awful. Both teams stink, and both offenses stink. You probably look at the under 36. My gosh, I mean, they expect it to be a low-scoring game, but I don't understand the Broncos being favored here, going on the road. I know their defense is probably the stronger point here, but it's weird. It's just a weird line for me. But it's a tough game to pick. I'd probably lean more to the under, but I'll take the better defense, I think.
Yeah, I put this into my spreadsheet on Sunday night, and I was looking at it all on Monday. I was doing all my research, and I just didn't process that this game was in Carolina. I saw 2.5 Broncos, and I was like, okay, Denver's favored by 2.5 at home against another bad team. And then right before we started the podcast, I'm like, oh my God, wait, Denver's on the road? How are they laying points on the road? This offense is horrendous. Solid 5.2 yards per play last week, but Vegas disappeared in the second half. I can't trust Denver's offense. Denver's defense had a dud versus Vegas. They still had 9 out of 10 games where the total in those games finished at 38 or less. So I can understand this number being as low as it is in terms of the total. Panthers defense coming off a second straight good game should shine in this matchup. Carolina offense can run the ball to stay in the game since Denver doesn't score. And the game won't get out of hand with whoever's playing quarterback for Carolina. It could be Baker Mayfield, could be Sam Darnold, maybe PJ Walker's healthy enough.
I think there's a pretty good chance we see Sam Darnold this weekend, just by hunch.
So we'll see. I think it's another great time, though, to tease against Denver with such a low total. So second half of the teaser, Carolina plus 8.5. Not going to be that many points scored in this game, so I can't see it getting outside of 8.5.
I mean, the under 36 is, I'm going to take the under 36 as the best bet. Like I've seen this sleepwalk before. Sunday after Thanksgiving, Broncos who just don't have any interest in scoring. I mean, obviously improved a little bit when they swapped play callers, but I mean, this is what do you call it, Pete? When everybody's packing their bags, knowing that it's like vacant, like if you're
they're heading for Cancun.
Yeah, like the Broncos players are thinking about Cancun at this point. Like the season
the
is
West
shot.
Coast, or not Cancun. They're going to Cabo. The West Coast teams go to Cabo.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the middle of the country teams go to Cancun, and the teams on the East they start heading down to Aruba, Jamaica, Bermuda, wherever. So they're packed. They're done.
Yeah, you're thinking about like getting off and playing golf and sitting on the beach if you're in Denver right now. Because
by the way, one other thing about that Broncos team, it's time to start pointing the finger at the damn quarterback. More.
Okay.
More. Yeah, he's bad. He's bad.
He's bad, man. He's had like 2 good halves the entire season. really tough.
Remember when back at like week 3, when I would say Geno Smith is better than Russell Wilson, and Brinson would play the sounder, like, oh, look at that dunk on Russell Wilson. It's like at this point, it'd just be picking on Russell Wilson. It's like, we know, like, why are you? Stop saying
it's amazing. Okay, the team isn't good, the offensive line isn't good, and everything, but he has really regressed in all areas. He holds the ball, he doesn't know when to get out, or if he gets out, he shouldn't be getting out. It's incredible.
It is one of the wildest. Like the Geno Smith, Russell Wilson crossing in Seattle and Denver is like one of the wildest.
It goes back to the old theory, though. Was he ever really great?
Oh boy.
I mean, he 4 times.
People are walking him out of the Hall of Fame. He was like locked to go to the Hall of Fame.
I don't think he never got an MVP vote. I don't think he was ever in the Hall of Fame. But think about this. 4 straight years, they had the top scoring defense in the league his first 4 years. You know, the last time that happened, that was the 50s dynasty of the Browns. It doesn't happen. And they could run it. And he could make plays with his legs and get outside and become fun to watch because he had those accidents where he'd scramble outside and throw it down the field.
There's got to be a meme, like some kind of meme we can put together about Pete, like just like it's like with the cars swerving off the highway. The meme, it's like Pete.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he
Russell Wilson.
I thought he used to make good. I mean, the defense carried him early, but that you could say the same about Tom Brady too. I think he was a good decision maker at one point, and he had the talent to make those deep throws and all those things. But he just doesn't have that now. His deep passes are horrendous. Every time you watch him, you're like, okay, is it going to get picked off? Because I know it's not going to be anywhere near the receiver.
Yeah, he was a game manager for 5 years. Then he started to become good for like 3. Is that 3 or 4? He got really good for a while there. And then he wasn't good for the last couple of years. It kind of went off the rails, and he was terrible this year. How old is he?
You remember he came to the league at 24. He's 35, man.
Yeah. So I mean, he's
33. He'll turn 34 on November 29th.
He looks old as hell.
He is old as hell.
33 isn't old. I don't know what happened to him.
I don't either. It's crazy. Well, I think he had 5 years where he was a really, really good player.
Well, there was 1 year that was phenomenal in there where he was out. What was it, like
2015?
Read his touchdown passes to me.
Okay.
Numbers.
So I'm going to start with 2015, okay?
Yeah.
34, 21, 34 when he led the league, 35 and 31.
Yeah, so there's 4 really special years.
Oh, no, he did have 40. He had 40 in 2020.
Yeah, there's 5 special years in there. So yeah,
he had 13 picks in 2020. But I mean, like, I think you give him 6 really good years. 2021, of course, the final year of Seattle, they went 6-8. But like, I mean, their worst season in those 6 years, like sort of post-ish Legion of Boom. They made the playoffs all but 1 year. Their worst season was 9-7. Like he was really good.
Yeah, but the Legion of Boom came apart piece by piece. It wasn't like it was done.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like he carried the Seahawks for a good stretch.
Yeah, for a couple of years there, he was carrying the Seahawks, but then it just went. What was the last couple of years?
I'm telling you, I mean, like the 2021 season, like Pete Carroll saw something that no one else did and dumped this guy on the Broncos for a bunch of picks that are looking like great draft picks. Like it's looking like a heist. All right, one more game, then we'll take a break, and then Pete can skip. You good on time, Pete?
Yeah, I got it. I can do this one.
All right. Chargers at the Cardinals. Chargers -4. On Caesars is already up to 4.5. We're playing it at 4. Arizona got absolutely mollywopped on Monday night. Can't imagine Kyler Murray's playing in this game. Wilson and I got into a big argument, Pete, about whether or not Cliff Kingsbury could get fired. I mean, of course, he can get fired. I don't think he will because of the contracts they give out to him, Keim, and Kyler this offseason. Man, this Cardinals team not looking very sharp.
It's a lot of money to eat for an organization that doesn't have a ton. They're not one of the wealthiest organizations in the league. But the way they're going, it wouldn't surprise me if they all got blown out. That wouldn't. I mean, that guy can be irrational at times, Bidwell. So I think there's a possibility, and he'd eat the money. But because if people aren't going to the games, you're not selling tickets, then that's going to be a big chunk of your money as well. So
Kyler, you can't get rid of.
No, Kyler's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take the Chargers here. It it was like a eureka moment the other day. The Chargers actually realized it wasn't a force field at 10 yards down the field. It was amazing. They threw passes down the field. So I was impressed by how they played on offense, and I think we're going to see that carry over. Arizona's packed them up. They're done. I'll take the Chargers minus the points.
Yeah, I called the Cardinals decent after they got their butts kicked by the 49ers, and Twitter wanted to come after me. I'm like, well, look, they're not the Texans. Like, that's my point, is that they've been a decent team. They won by 10 in LA with Colt McCoy at quarterback the week before. Offense had played better since Hopkins came back. I like catching a bunch of points with the Chargers as favorites of more, when I could play them catching a bunch of points, but now they're favored by 4.5 now. I mean, that's the spot where you fade the Chargers with this team. We know we've seen it over and over and over again. Chargers have 2 wins of more than 3. They won by 10 in Houston. Which everybody can do. And then they won by 5 at home against the Raiders, which did in week 1, which does not look impressive at this point. The Chargers defense continues to look brutal. I think even McCoy can score points on them, even though he didn't have a good game against that very good pass rush against San Francisco. Arizona's offense probably has Brown back. There was speculation that he'd be back for this last game, didn't come back. So you get Brown there with Hopkins. We'll see what the Rondale Moore injury, what comes of that. But I think that with those weapons, I expect the Chargers always to play to a field goal game either way, unless they're facing a basement level team. So I got Cardinals +4 as a best bet. Wait to see it go up. If you're listening to this, hopefully on Friday, maybe it's up in that 5.5 range. You get even better value.
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers do like to keep it and play close games. The other thing you got here, you mentioned Cliff Kingsbury, like Brandon Staley. I mean, this might be these two coaches. This might be a save your job game for both these guys. The way that things are going for those two teams. So we'll see. I would lean towards I guess the Cardinals on like a just like a bounce back with what you saw Monday night and why everyone's gonna be jumping in on the Chargers because of how bad the Cardinals look. I thought Colt McCoy played better than he was given credit for on Monday night. Just under siege by that pass rush of the 49ers. All right, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, Pete will have magically disappeared, and RJ and I don't leave until I say next. And RJ and I will rip through a couple games coming up next.
Poof.
See you, Pete.
See you, fellas.
All right. Falcons at the Commanders, RJ. Pete left. Pete didn't actually have to work. He was just worried he was going to take the Commanders again. Commanders -4. Hosting the Falcons over to 42.5. Commanders are actually playing like kind of decent the last few weeks, aren't they?
Yeah, and I faded them last week, thinking they shouldn't be 3.5 point favorites on the road. I forgot about never take Houston. That was a rule I made early in the season, and I broke it that one week. Not going to happen again. Never taking Houston again. Surprised Atlanta's offense didn't do more against Chicago in that game last week, just 2 and 9 on third down. I think that's a red flag for them offensively. And that's before you even get into the Kyle Pitts injury. They're not going to have him in this game. And his numbers haven't been to his draft status. I know people think that he's a disappointment, but I mean, now you just defend Drake London and that offense doesn't go anywhere. So the passing offense. Yeah. So I don't know what they do against Washington defense. They dominated an awful Houston offense, but they've been playing great for a week. So it's not just a factor of who they were playing there. I think Mariota could be under siege all day. If Atlanta falls behind, they have to play from ahead in this game. Atlanta's defense doesn't get pressure. I think Heineke should be able to pick apart Atlanta's defense. So play was on Washington at -3, even with the bad home field advantage. They're definitely better than Atlanta because it was 3.5. I was hoping to get 3. Now it's up to 4.5 as we're looking at it on the screen now. My lean was to Washington at 4. I still think I wouldn't play Atlanta in any sense. So it's probably going to end up being a stay away for me.
Yeah, I would probably 4.5 is a bit much. Excuse me. I kind of like the under here. I mean, you look at these box scores for Washington. I mean, they are just not afraid to keep it in a low scoring game. Even when you have decent offenses. Yeah, I'll take the under as a best bet actually. A 42. The Falcons love to run. Ron Rivera would love nothing more than to squeak out a 20-17 game on Thanksgiving weekend. And that 4.5 it's just asking a lot, especially with the Falcons, who have been, I think they're 7-4 against the spread, or 6-4 against the spread, 7-3 against the spread, something like that. They've been very good against it, or started out hot against the spread. Have not been great the last few games, but certainly they could cover that. Lose by a field goal here, and it wouldn't be that surprising. Raiders at the Seahawks. Seahawks -3.5. Over under 47.5. That's one of the rare robust totals we have on this slate, RJ.
And you can expect it because the Raiders fixed themselves. You saw that game. They obviously went up and down the field against Denver, scored a ton of points. And the market's now moved to the Raiders. This was 4. And now we've seen Raiders money move to 3.5. I don't get it. I think it's a great time to fade the Raiders after stealing a win in Denver with the late field goal, overtime touchdown. They easily could have lost that game. Seattle's offense, 5th in pass yards per play, 7th in rush yards per play. I'm not sure how Vegas, they don't sack the quarterback, how they slow them down either way. Seattle's defense didn't play well versus Tampa Bay, but they did limit points. I think they're capable of holding Vegas under 20 here. Power ratings say the line's fair, but I think the spot's much better for Seattle. I would lean towards Seattle here.
I would lean Seattle as well. The Raiders' 3 wins are against the Broncos and the Texans. Like, those are the only teams they've beaten in the NFL this year. Yes, they lost to the Cardinals in overtime. And they've had close games, of course, a lot of one-score games. But I mean, we saw that offense get completely dominated by the Saints in recent weeks. They lost to the Jaguars on the road. They lost to Jeff Saturday in his first game. Like they will lose to anybody. And the Seahawks are actually a decent team coming off the bye. On the 2 back-to-back games on the road, coming off an emotional overtime win. I like the Seahawks here as well. I don't know about. I guess the total. I guess this would be a popular DFS game, but I mean, my gosh, these games are not. These games are not great on Thanksgiving Sunday. Bengals minus 1.5 at the Titans. Over under 42.5. I think I'm going to throw in a principal best bet here, RJ. Titans plus 1.5. Yes, the Bengals are playing well. Yes, Joe Burrow looks fantastic. But the Titans, man, line of scrimmage is a bad matchup for Cincinnati and their offensive line. Even if you think they're playing better, Tennessee's up front. By the way, Mike Sando, I don't know if you read it on The Athletic or not, but Mike Sando had a column this week talking about why, like how Tennessee gets their edge, and it's kind of fascinating. Like they basically they've added more points. Like in terms of EPA than any team since in the NFL by like a huge margin in terms of generating false starts and various penalties against their opponents. It's really interesting how like Vrabel focuses on that, and like other coaches and GMs notice it and talk to Sando about it. So I recommend checking that out.
It's very, very Belichickian.
Exactly. They call him New England 2.0. Like it's almost like, and they're like Vrabel's on the competition committee. Apparently recently he sent a reply all to like every GM and coach in the league where he's like scathing or he's like ripping the officials for something. Like this guy's like, you talking about 4D chess? My man, 4D chess. And also you technically would have a slight revenge angle for the playoffs last year if you want.
Reply all email scathing, blasting the officials. This is a man after my own heart.
I know. It's like a sort of a principal play on the Titans here.
Yeah, I like the Titans too, plus 1.5. I think you didn't want to tease the Panthers. I think this would be your other teaser option here, and to tease it up to 7.5. Tennessee offense leaned on the pass game to tear through Green Bay's defense. Treylon Burks finally emerging, but waiting. He's been hurt. Been waiting for this all year. We'll see if it sticks now. Since his defense got worked in the first half against Pittsburgh, showed up in the second half. But can they pressure here? I'm not sure. Their sack rate's 29, same as the Tennessee's offense. So if Tennessee's offense was facing a team with a good pressure rate, good sack rate, I would say, it's bad news for Tannehill. But this isn't that team. So I don't know that they'll take advantage of that matchup. Since he's offense, unlikely to run the ball well. Joe Mixon hurts. We'll see if he even plays. If they get Jamar Chase back for this game, that'd be huge. I think that would affect the line. So if you like Titans, wait to see if he trends toward playing, because I think that pushes it up. But second straight on the road for Cincy, Tennessee on extra rest. I think they win at home. So I'm leaning to Tennessee plus 1.5, but want to see where the line goes.
Yeah. I mean, if it creeps up, you get more. I mean, I don't think it'll get to 3 though.
Well, I don't know. It's Jamar Chase. I mean, Jamar Chase affects the line. He's considered one of the best receivers in the league.
Great point. Yeah, Jamar Chase. Okay, that's a good point. So I'll still take Tennessee plus 1.5 as the best bet out of principle because I don't think Vrabel should be a dog at home. But RJ's point is correct. If you want to bet it, wait and see what Jamar Chase does, because this, worst case is you're taking Tennessee as a pick 'em versus 1.5, and best case is if you want to take Tennessee, Jamar Chase comes back and you could get. I mean, it could go to 3 with Jamar Chase. That's not that crazy. All right, finally, Texans at the Dolphins. The Dolphins, we have it at minus 12. It has gotten up to 13. Over under 45.5. Dolphins are coming off the bye, right? Yes.
Coming off the bye, yeah.
Yeah, coming off the bye and playing a team that I believe is switching quarterbacks. Like the Texans are so desperate, they're switching quarterbacks. It's sort of like I can't remember who it was, but the guy who like couldn't make any free throws, so he started shooting left-handed. Like just like, all right, screw it. Like that's the only other. Like the Texans are a really, really bad team, and Miami potentially could just obliterate them here.
Yeah, as of now, we don't know if they're switching quarterbacks. They're considering going to Kyle Allen, and if it's Kyle Allen week, I love the Dolphins even more. I have Dolphins as the best bet at -12. My power ratings line has it at 16.5 because I still don't think the Dolphins are getting enough credit for how good they are. Houston should have won that game against Washington if they were any semblance of good. It was a bad spot for Washington coming off that upset win over the Eagles. And the fact that they couldn't even compete in that game, do anything offensively, they're just done. They're going for the number one pick now. There's no fight in this team. I think Miami's defense easily handles that offense at home in Miami, where they have a good advantage. They can create turnovers no matter who's at quarterback. Miami's offense obviously can throw all over Houston's defense. The improved run game has an edge too. So Dolphins -12 is the best bet for me. Like I said, I have it at 16.5, but at 13, I don't know if I love it as much because next up for the Dolphins is San Francisco. And that's going to be a huge game for McDaniel playing the 49ers.
Ooh, that is a prime look-ahead spot.
You get a very big look-ahead spot here, but in order for it to matter, Houston's got to take advantage of it, and they showed last week they're not going to take advantage of bad spots. So probably at 13 is just a lead for me, but I like the Dolphins under that number.
Any reason to look at like the Houston team total here? I just stay away. This is kind of a dangerous game. Man, I didn't realize that they're at San Francisco next week. Wow, that's a big, big game for Mike McDaniel. Big game for Kyle Shanahan, too. All right. Any look aheads for you for week 13?
We're recording this Tuesday around midday, so we don't have the look ahead lines out yet. So couldn't really give a pick, but I'm on the early edge every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and I give out a few picks for the day there, and then we end the show and I give away a look ahead pick there. So if you want to check in on the look ahead pick, just make sure to tune on the early edge 10 o'clock a.m. on the sports.
What is your early edge nickname? There's no way you don't have one.
Coach calls me Stoic One because I never show any emotion on the show.
Oh man, I love Coach. I think I could take Coach in a wrestling match.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I'm kidding. All right, here's a recap. Best bets. Pete has the Jaguars +4, the Saints +8.5, the Bucs -3, the Packers +7, Chiefs -14.5, the Steelers Steelers +2.5. And RJ has the Bucs -3, the Eagles -7. A teaser with the Panthers +8.5 and the Steelers +8.5, the Jets -4.5, and Arizona +4. And
Miami, go ahead.
Sorry.
Miami -12. It wasn't on the rundown we initially got, so I just want to make sure you had it.
Okay, yeah, I did not have that. So you have Dolphins -12.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Sorry, you just said that. Dolphins -12, and I kind of want to take the Dolphins too. I have the Ravens -4. The Bucs -3, the under in the Chiefs Rams game at 44, the Jets -4.5. Man, I'm taking some stinky chalk here. Under 36 in the Panthers and Broncos game, principal play. Under 42.5 in the Falcons Commanders game, and the Titans +1.5. Do I have too many bets to take to add on the Dolphins -12? I kind of want to do that.
Do whatever you want.
Okay, I'll take the Dolphins -12 too.
So don't bet the Dolphins. Anybody listen to this now? Brinson has now squashed my pick.
Well, it's going to be 15 by the time it closes if they Davis Mills for Kyle Allen. The Texans are terrible. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. For the faceless, headless Pete Prisco, for RJ, I'm Brinson. Talk to you guys later.